Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, December 18th, about 7 days exactly. 7 days till Christmas. We're on the European server here. The daily quests are still a mess. So all I really need to do right now is play the Overload, 15 Overload cards on the European account, which this might work out very well in my favor because there's a moderate amount of news that I could probably blow through in this recording, and also get the European servers done. So you may even end up, I may still be talking about news as I go back to the Americas servers and start cheating it. So the thing that we're doing right now is there enough overload cards in this to play that? Yes, there are. Did I disenchant a card? I guess I did. Right. So let's find something that overloads. Put that in. There we go. Custom Chamber 2. And play. Custom Chamber 2. Here. Might as well play ranked. Standard. So, Dissidia Final Fantasy NT open beta has been detailed. The open beta will take place from 1800 to 2300 Japan Standard Time on December 23rd and 24th, December 30th and 31st, and January 6th and January 7th. Those are very unlikely to be played days, I would say. Maybe, maybe not. The thing I don't fully understand, and I imagine this is Japan only, so it may be an open beta in name, but I imagine they would not prefer you to play if you're around the world, but I'm just guessing that. The thing is, there's already Final Fantasy 14, which I believe is the online one, so I'm not sure what the deal with having a secondary online game in the Final Fantasy series. I'm not sure you can handle two audiences like that. Maybe Final Fantasy 14 it could be 8 years old by now or more, so maybe it's just getting long in the tooth and it's time to replace it. But generally you wouldn't give something a brand new name. As far as the screenshots, it looks like just all the classic Final Fantasy things. Maybe it's a completely different style of gameplay than the Final Fantasy 14. That could be the case.
Elements guide me.
As far as other actual bits of facts, the City of Final Fantasy NT is due out on the PlayStation 4 on January 11th in Japan and January 30th in North America and Europe. So
elements guide me.
Let's kill it. There we go. There seems to me like there is a major number of people who are into all of the Final Fantasies, or a significant number of the Final Fantasy games, and that's something that just passed me by. I imagine that's particularly Japanese players and people who
Elements guide me.
who had only PlayStation systems. Like, I could totally see if you had a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 4 in particular, you were very limited on games you could love and have as a nostalgia for. Frankly though, if you only had an Xbox 360 and an Xbox One, you also would be rather limited on games you could love and have nostalgia for. You really, in my opinion, need the Sega or the Sony Dreamcast. No, it was a Sega Dreamcast. Yeah, you need a Sega or Nintendo in your life, even if that would be a really old console for you to have some major mascot nostalgia or brand exclusive games. Moving on to the next story, DX2 Shin Megami Tensei Liberation has been delayed to mid-January in Japan. I don't think I've even heard of this game. This is a Sega game, and I'm looking at all these characters, and I haven't seen anything about this, which is crazy because I see things about things all the time. This looks like this might be a cell phone card battling game. Yeah, it's for iOS and Liberation. That's why I haven't been paying any attention to it. Let's see. Bandai Namco has announced 2 new Switch games, which is cool.
Elements guide me. I already stand.
Oh, I didn't. Return.
My hand is full.
Neither of which are Dark Souls ports. So 2 new Switch games are coming out. They are Pac-Man Championship Edition 2, which is definitely a good game to port to the PC, although Pac-Man Championship Edition DX of 1 is a much better game, and Championship Edition 2, if I'm recalling correctly, was actually quite a disappointment. So that is something to keep in mind. Let's see.
Elements guide me.
Could have done this and silenced this guy, couldn't I? That was a poor mistake. The other game is a My Hero Academia project, which is due out at some stage in 2018. So Bandai Namco might be rather limited in their resources these days, to the point where they may not have enough employees left to actually do a massive amount of releases.
Elements
But
guide me.
on the other hand, it seems like they should be releasing 4 or 5 games in an announcement, not 2, and the 2 they picked seem to be not the most difficult to port games. I imagine this is the first step for Bandai Namco, and we'll see some more Bandai games coming sooner than later.
The Brotherhood shall not fail.
Thank you.
My hand is too full.
Moving on, I suppose, with the next bit of news. My Hero Academia 1 Justice is coming to the West for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Like, I don't think My Hero Academia is going to be a new Dragon Ball, and even Dragon Ball is hardly a game that's worth playing as a YouTuber. It doesn't stand out as a fighting game. My Hero Academia is a fighting game thing. Let's see, do I even want to kill this guy then? Sure. So yeah, I just watched the trailer for the My Hero Academia game, and it doesn't show any actual gameplay. They say in the article it's a battle action game. The thing is, they'll just be on to the next anime by the time this even gets any ground in the West. And it's not probably the next Naruto, it's not the next Dragon Ball Z. Even those probably wouldn't succeed in modern days. Let's see, apparently I have a card glitch. One for each totem I'm summoning this game. For free. There's an enemy. This.
Elements guide me.
Moving on to the next article. This is just more details for the Pac-Man Championship Edition. I was watching a video explaining how each of the ghosts in Pac-Man are programmed to work, and this card is actually a horrible card to play. Unless, of course, you do something like what he just did. It does the massive things, but you can just do this and for 5, and so it wastes 5 of your mana for 1 turn.
Elements guide me.
And one of the things they said that is that Pac-Man can always turn corners faster than the ghost, but the ghosts themselves are actually, at least in the original Pac-Man version, are actually sometimes faster than Pac-Man is, so they will catch up with him. And this version looks like it's got some new things in it, and the co-op mode for the Switch. So this is Championship Edition 2 Plus. Win streak bonus. And my Hearthstone deck tracker app is just in a mess right now. And it may just always be a mess because, let's see, I need 7 more overload cards, and that's it, really. Playing a European and an Asian account is just not something that they've done. This really doesn't connect to anybody else other than YouTubers, but apparently somebody tried to steal the login credentials of Philip DeFranco, who is a big-time YouTuber, by sending him a fake forged copyright claim. And the idea is you would click the button to view the claims. You would click on the view claim details, it would take you to a fake website and steal your login credentials. The email is from YouTube, copyright at inbox.lv, and I imagine that is an ever changing email address as people might try to do this. Personally, as a YouTuber, I always have the copyright page open, and I always have YouTube open and logged in, so I'm not sure how many YouTubers that are big time YouTubers would ever click on an email and fall for that. I suppose it would just be a matter if you were careless or if you were trying to log in on some foreign computer, which I don't think I would log in on a foreign computer. Tragic Master says he's back and good game. Thank you. The Destiny 2 Fall of Osiris comic contains a secret code for a special emblem. The first issue, let's see. How do you get the secret code? Let's see. There's a Morse code thing that had to be translated at bungie.net/redeem. The Morse code translates to XFJ. No, sorry. Let me try and read this a little bit better. Starting over. XFVKHPN97. So if you type in that, KHPN97. Remember, my screen is 10 feet away from me. That's why I'm having trouble reading it. And I'm not even looking at my main screen. I'm looking at my tiny little 19-inch monitor next to my main screen, which only makes things smaller. So you put that in and you unlock something called the Visionary. Some kind of item, I imagine. It's an emblem. It shows up in your collection under emblems too.
What to do?
There's no indication that the code is time limited, but no indication it's not either, so you probably should do it if anybody's playing Destiny 2, which I guess inherently that's the bigger question. Is anybody playing Destiny 2? So Reddit is big into the whole net neutrality fight. They're very obsessed with it, and they're, I suppose, trying their best to not lose a free and widely available and accessible internet, which is something I also support. But one of the things they did is they posted to a place where you could look at all the comments made to see if somebody was using your name and putting a false comment there. And people started searching, and they found out that apparently somebody by the name of Barack Obama, the person who created the net neutrality legislation, is now against it. So clearly it's just yet another example of many examples of false comments that were put in by ISPs. People saying that they think ISPs took billing addresses and things like that and used that information to make false comments on behalf of people that they were not authorized to make comments on. People like Clark Kent and the entire Avengers and the entire Super Friends are all listed there, just clearly made up names, all almost 100% supporting net neutrality being abolished, which makes no sense. honestly, it feels like there's close to 0 people in the real world that aren't either paid by the ISPs or working for the ISPs that are against net neutrality. And with that, I'm done with the news, so I'll go back to Twitter and see if anything new happened. I suppose Giant Bomb's Game of the Year should be coming on either right about now or in a couple hours, so I can spend some time listening to that. Hopefully before the end of the year, I will also have finished Rise of the Tomb Raider. At some point I want to do a special live stream for an end of the year review. I think that would be appropriate. Let's see. Destroying frozen damage by this. Right now you can get Layers of Fear and the soundtrack for a limited time. So I've certainly gone for that. That sounds like a great deal. Maybe around Halloween in 2018 I will decide to see, can I freeze an enemy and then kill an enemy? I guess I can. This will be an interesting thing. This character now is frozen, has Divine Shield and Taunt. This destroys anything with frozen. But it has to be damaged, so it doesn't count. Which means this is actually just a waste. And the whole thing was a waste. I should have instead froze this character, just because that would have been logical, and then attacked. And let's see, Humble Bundles. There's a code of book sale this new Maker Skill Builders. Let's see what this is. It's a lot of make books that I think you just get them all from in PDF format. You know, that wouldn't be a terrible idea, but also for my case, I don't need make books. Oh, I have other ways of finding that information, and any kids, because it is kind of focused on kids or new people new to making things, which technically I guess I am not a person who's new to making things, because I do have education in electronics and drafting and several other things. Programming, definitely. Lots and lots of programming skills. Well, education at least.
Elements guide me.
Darn it, that was a waste. So, yeah. The nieces and nephews I have all probably are way too young for any maker books, and by the time they are ready for that, there will hopefully be better versions of that. So, video game wise, unless this indie hits bundle is video games, these all look like Android games. Yeah, this is just Android games, which I couldn't imagine buying an Android game bundle. So it's Codemasters, the Yogscast Jingle Jam, and the manga game bundle are all that's here. That kind of makes sense too, since we're close to Christmas. Let's look at the Yogscast Jingle Jam to see what's new here. To see if this has finally opened up. Mirage Arcane Warfare, I think I've seen that one. Guns of Icarus Alliance that I think might be a DLC. Free Cell Quest, okay. No, this really is just not the best bundle. It just doesn't work. There's no name recognition at all on most of these games. But I just need to play overload cards, and that's all I really needed to do. Yeah, so one more week for the Yogscast Jingle Jam. Your best bet right now on Humble Bundle is to go get Layers of Fear for free. Come over here to Twitter and see if there's anything new. I had to mute a couple of things that I started following, probably through contests. I haven't done a lot of contests lately. One of the things about my tweets of pre-recorded stuff too is I've really given up on trying to find any hashtags that bring in any real people.
Let the hunt begin for Doomhammer.
And like I'm just now making shorter tweets that probably aren't bringing in any new audience, but I've yet to see any new audience actually come from Twitter at all. It seems like all my views come directly from YouTube. It's hard to tell if that's how that would be different. I'd have to spend too much time looking at my analytics to find out if that was the case, but I don't get people that follow me on Twitter that look like new real people. I get crazy sites that look like they're just spammers on Twitter. And there's definitely a difference between when I get a new subscriber on YouTube and it looks like a real person, and when I get a new subscriber on Twitter. So I'm losing faith in Twitter as a outreach method towards fans. Which, of course, YouTube is trying to destroy that, since YouTube is adding elements of Twitter to itself with the community tabs and all of and sharing internally. They haven't fully succeeded on that, but they're working towards it. I don't have the ability to post comments or basically tweet out dialogue through YouTube, presumably because I don't have 10,000 subscribers or 1,000 subscribers, or maybe they're just slowly handing that function out. They've been working on it for half a year plus. So I suppose if I did get that ability at some point in the future, I might almost completely forget about Twitter, as much as I've completely forgotten about YouTube. Not YouTube, I mean Facebook. Like, I don't do anything on Facebook. If people are trying to comment me on Facebook, I probably won't see it for at least a month.
Good news, everyone! I perfected the
Yeah, but there's no news here. There's literally no news to talk about. And I imagine it's slightly too early to do Game of the Year. Yeah, because I would want to do that at the well, I want to do Game of the Year on the 30th or the 31st. That would be the plan. That would be realistic. It'll be a moderately short video. It'll probably be a little rambly, where I just talk about the Game of the Year in review. A slight preview for that is there will probably be a decent amount of talk about how this year broke me and I overexhausted myself and worked harder than I probably should have, and now I am probably going to underwork and do less work than I would have been motivated to do. But I'm only slightly broken. I still plan to go forward and continue. It's just I'm trying to be more realistic about my effort. Apparently, pure Puyo Tetris is discounted on the Nintendo Switch. Why there isn't just a regular Tetris, I don't know. Maybe there is.
Come midnight.
Here's some news. Not good news, but news. Maybe I just have to scroll down low enough. Here's some news. Wow. What is going on? Play. I should have done that one. I don't think I'm gonna get a new video card this Christmas. Gamma Sutra's Best of 2017. I suppose I could cover other people's best of the year, Game of the Year lists and see whether I agree with it. If you're gonna get Layers of Fear, it's only about 2 days that it's available for free, so I would hop on it as quick as possible. Let's play this. And this. And that. And then the Ender Train. There is some rumors I haven't talked about Counter-Strike Go potentially becoming yet another clone of PlayerUnknown Battleground, which is to say that in Counter-Strike Go you may be able to do everything that you can do in PlayerUnknown Battleground, and probably better. It's not really a clone, but they're just adding that Battle Royale style of mode is the rumor.
Such big teeth.
I got a Heroes of the Storm free gift, probably from my Twitch. It showed up as a little present box on the Battle.net launcher. I assume if somebody was to gift me cards, that's also where they would show up, or maybe not. They would just show up in my collection. I would hope the game would give me more of a notification than that. Otherwise, it's going to occur. Well, there will be an incident where I simply don't thank somebody for their generosity, and that would be wrong. And I don't want to do that. Let's see. PlayerUnknown Battleground 1.0 launches this week with fancy 3D replays. That's all I want to even read on that article, since I don't really care about PlayerUnknown Battleground. SteamCommunity.com has been blocked in China for being a social network, and the only social networks that I believe are allowed in China are the ones that specifically are copying everything that's said to the Chinese government. I'm not sure SteamCommunity.com actually has any connection whatsoever, though, with Valve or Steam. It simply may just be a website that uses the same name.
Quickly.
There's a slight bundle for the Oculus Rift and Touch that gives you a little bit more for the same $500 price, I believe.
The master hungers.
5 trends that defined the game industry in 2017. We'll look at
Where's
that.
my...
Maybe people were just slow to put out news articles today, because now that I'm looking again, I got Okami HD on my wish list in Valve and Steam. I imagine there's a lot of games that, if I thought about it specifically, should be in that wish list that are missing. Deal 1 damage to something and freeze it. Yeah, that is definitely the one problem I see with the YouTube attempts to replace Twitter, which this is probably attempt number 5 by Google to replace Twitter, is I really have no way to open up a new tab and look at the article and save that article and talk about it. If I was getting all my news from YouTube, I get incredibly little amounts of news from YouTube. Most YouTube videos that are talking about video game news are late to the party, and often they say very little to keep it short and simple and get that watch time as high as possible. Watch percentage as high as possible. And I'm just scrolling through Twitter now to see if there's any more articles I may have missed. Like, Need for Speed has an update to give you more cards. It's not really news. Save ourselves. I think the guy has gone AFK, so if somebody goes AFK, I imagine the idea would be to just continue playing and just end your turn and wait until they run out of cards. That way they die on a draw, which almost no trap or secret would be able to counter. See, this is the whole deal. I'm getting a lot of this happening, where there's just a ton of daily quests showing up. Let's play our Murloc deck. Do we have a Murloc deck? Yes, we do. This ranked play. When in doubt, play Murlocs. Planet Coaster launches an adventure pack update with hundreds of new items. I actually do want to see that, because I wonder if that is make your own roller coaster that people could ride. There we go. So, development of The Calling has come to a halt. The 16-player Battle Royale game was just released in October. I imagine we're gonna see a lot of that. Tragic Master goes Murgle. Or however, I'm doing a poor impression of a Murloc here. Yeah, I imagine we're going to see a lot of that, where Battle Royale style games get released, they make a few bucks, and then they just drop development and it never comes out of early access. They take the money and run. Inherently, I think a lot of that is going to come right down to the fact that Valve lets early access games be so prevalent and prominent on their site instead of having some standards and telling people you can't release your game in early access on our site, or if it's an early access, we're only going to show it to people that have opted in to seeing early access games. You can see just by the definition here, the calling being a 16-player battle royale game, just by the numbers, you know that's not going to work when PUBG is, I believe, 100 players. Let's see, here's this Game Sutra's Best of 2017, Elisa McAloon's Top 6 Games. She's a news reporter for Game Sutra, has the Twitch handle @glitchy, which is interesting that she would have gotten that good of a Twitch handle. So her top 6 games start with Doki Doki Literature Club. A lot of people seem to particularly on YouTube, seem to be covering that game. Frankly, from what I've seen, I know it has a bit of a twist to it, but it still seems to have the majority issue and problem of being focused around making it makes the player do a lot of reading, and that's the problem with the visual novels in general for me and for YouTubers in general, is you're doing too much reading. The people that I have seen playing Doki Doki Literature Club inherently, either from the beginning or at some point, start doing silly voices for the characters and start being ridiculous, which arguably is not the best way to present someone else's game. Next on the list, and these aren't numbered, so I wonder if there is a numbering system here or if there isn't. Was Doki Doki number 6 or was Doki Doki number 1? But who knows? It says What Remains of Edith Finch. I think there's a lot of people that are going to like that game, and as I see more end-of-the-year articles. Next is Everybody's Golf. I don't think there's really too much wrong with Everybody's Golf, although why, if you're covering 6 of the best games that came out in 2017, I don't think Everybody's Golf should be in your list. I think you can think of 6 better games than that. Perhaps this person only played 6 games, and that's the reason. That it's listed. Next is Hitman by IO Interactive. It's hard for me in my mind to contextualize Hitman because it was this year-long experience, and people that played it, which doesn't include me because I didn't play Hitman, sounded like they were having a lot of fun for a very long time, so it probably does deserve to win. I'm not sure if there ever is like a Game of the Year edition of Hitman and there's a way I can go back and play it there that I will have as much of a fun time as people who were playing it as it was new and being delivered live. Next on the list is Horizon Zero Dawn. There's some logic to that. There's also an argument that a lot of people are going to make, I think, during end-of-year conversations, talking about how Horizon Zero Dawn, while it's a fine hunting game, another Far Cry game, style game, another Assassin's Creed style game, although now the new Assassin's Creed Origins really isn't an Assassin's Creed style game. there's not a ton of story from what I've heard in Horizon Zero Dawn, and that seems like that might be problematic. Now I'm stuck on getting wins on this European account, so we'll have to do some work there. And then the next is Life is Strange Before the Storm. Outside of the people that loved Life is Strange 1 and got all the way to the end, there's very little coverage at all of Life is Strange Before the Storm. I feel like if a lot of websites forced themselves to cover Before the Storm, where they may not have even finished Life is Strange or played it at all, I think you'd have a lot more negative reviews of it. But since it's kind of this self-selecting audience, the people that liked Life is Strange 1 will probably like Life is Strange 2. Sadly, I wasn't one of those people. Life is Strange was just a little too strange. Next article we have is 5 trends that define the game industry in 2017. Like, well, the first trend... okay. This one's a slightly...
I don't have enough mana.
Slightly odd one is uncertainty in a post-Steam Direct world. Honestly, there was probably an equivalent amount of uncertainty when Steam Greenlight was around, so I don't know if much has really changed. If anything, I feel like Valve is not getting credit due for its discoverability updates, because normal people don't seem like they actually see these crazy fake games on Valve on Steam. It just seems like it's not really an issue. Personally, when I go look on the recommended front page things, I'm not getting recommended fake games or things that I would call fake games. Maybe my definition is narrow and should be broadened to a wider perspective, but it seems like Valve actually did succeed on what they wanted to do. It's just that other people wanted them to do something different. Let's see, the next trend is loot box scrutiny. Definitely a trend in 2017 as people are tired of loot boxes and in general DLC and being nickel and dimed. Let's see. Next trend is AR picks up interest as VR comes back to reality, which is to say people aren't so hot on VR as they were, which that's not super surprising either. AR also not gonna really succeed. Like, we're not gonna see any big change. That's part of the reason why we're probably not very close to a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox 2 or whatever it's gonna be. Is that there just isn't gonna be a major change of development or functionality in the new consoles. We're not gonna have VR headsets, we're not gonna have new controllers. I think after decades of experimenting with controllers, I think the Xbox controller and the PlayStation controller are settled in as being the right controllers. I think even Nintendo in their next console is going to have to concede that and have just a rather traditional controller. They already have something close to that in their as an accessory, but by default their Switch Joy-Cons still are trying to do something a little crazier than what are necessary. And then the final trend are chicken dinners for all, which I assume is just PUBG. A lot of video game reviewers out there are obsessed with playing PUBG more than I think realistic regular players are. Next trend is the Switch rising. The Switch certainly did rise. It seemed like it would have been a total failure, or had at least a high chance of being a failure when it first came at the beginning of 2017, and by the end now it seems to be a pretty complete success. Or at least a major competitor. I need that quest. I would have summoned 7 Murlocs by now. Unfortunately, on this account, I don't have it. For Honor has a Eurogamer article. Again, this is probably still just advertising for For Honor. You fight on a cracking frozen lake in For Honor's new 2 vs 2 winning brawl. For Honor should get a special award at the end of this year for biggest failure, biggest waste of advertising dollars. Let's see. Choose a friendly minion. Swap it with a minion in your deck.
Welcome to Gadget Land!
Job's done.
Well, that's not working greatly. There's also winter-themed cosmetics, which I believe they were saying you could dress up like Elsa in this For Honor game. But I can't even watch the video because it's blocked in the United States. So, nothing that I suppose really to be said there.
Everyone has a price.
Yep. It's worth remembering that For Honor was a huge failure. I guess there's nothing else I to say about that. Moving on, Planet Coaster launches their adventure pack update. I want to see what these are. Rides, hats, special effects, and 300 plus scenery items. Alright, so on this daily quest, I need to get 2 victories. I could probably get both of these done, but there's... do I want to try and change my schedule any? Not really. Like, if it turns out that December 25th is on Friday. Let me just look at the calendar and let's see. 25th is on Monday. I think I still will just stream on December 25th. Like, I don't see any reason to change my schedule at all. It may be a very short stream, and it may be a very late stream.
Come tell us a story or two.
I think we'll just do it. Oh, and this was the other thing. On my Asian account, I have a watch and learn. I can't do anything with it. I have nobody to watch. So, let me show what happens here, I believe. Is you exit out, and then you come back in, and then it changes your daily quests. It doesn't change them, but it refreshes them.
The end's full of adventure tonight.
Now I'm just seeing a big pink screen because the game has crashed. The game has started crashing too, by the way. There we go. Can I swap these out? No. So I gotta win 3 games with the mage. can I win 3 games with the mage? Not super easily. Tragic Master says, Merry Christmas, man. Whoop. Thanks. And pretty long wait times. Wow. On the Asian account, too. Yeah, I'm watching the video for the adventure pack of Planet Coaster, and I'm not sure if Planet Coaster really is a great game, but it is an interesting idea to make your own themed adventure ride.
Jaina versus
And the last bit of news is the sad bit of news. The video game lawyer and video game BA co-founder David Rosenbaum has died. Let's see, video game BA. I believe that was the British Arts. No, the Video Game Bar Association. Different group. So I haven't heard of the Video Game Bar Association. He's died. And then he entered private practice during the 90s, and that would have been in the United States right when there was a, I would describe as crazy, but I'm no doctor, lawyer who was very obsessed about making laws against video games in Florida. No, he was trying to make federal laws, but he was in Florida, and so it was a slightly scary time. Let's see. There's not really a lot to say here. From 2007 to 2011, he also taught video game law in the Southwestern Law School. The Southwestern Law School apparently is the name of the school.
I wonder.
That's
you like my invention.
very generic.
I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot.
Let's see, the Video Game Bar Station was one of his more passionate endeavors, and it owes its success and growth to the hard work of promoting it. Earlier this year, David joined IE Law Group, and his enthusiasm was part of what we talked about working together for years. And I was so grateful we had the chance, albeit a short one, in a far too short amount of time. There's not really a lot they're saying about what he died of or anything like that.
Give it a shot.
It doesn't strike me, at least in the picture, as being incredibly old, maybe 50s, 60s. Yeah, he died at the age of 62. But yeah, that's kind of it. I suppose I can come back to Twitter and see if maybe there's some more news that got posted later. It's 7 p.m. right now, and after this game we're going to go into the post-game show. It's going to be a miserable experience. So, like, this is how bad of a advertiser I am for my own post-game play. Is like, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a miserable experience. Unless I just get really lucky and a bunch of people receive like this. Like, I also need to, while I'm playing, come over here, and you're going to see a lot of this, just add random people to friends, because I have nobody on the Asian account. So send friend request. If anybody accepts, I'm going to then try and spectate them to get the watch and learn quest. But there's 2 more victories we need on the European account. 2 more victories we need on the Asian account. We have a watch and learn on the Asian account, and then there are some victories I believe I need on the Americas account. But the Americas account I could cheat on my phone and just play myself, but I can't do that with the other accounts because of just the way things work. On the cell phones you can't have multiple regions or switch regions. So that's going to be it for this talking portion. Thanks to Tragic Master for playing me and talking on the chat. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.